For those of you that are stuck and currently in a stagnant situation like I am, fresh out of college, can't really find a job that's worth your time and effort, don't know what to do, don't know how to do it, and Googling online on how to make money, but came across so many gurus and bought their courses, and now you don't trust anything online because every how to make money online is a scam opportunity apparently. You don't know how to break free from the shackles that is your day-to-day habits because you live like this for so long and you get used to being lazy. But you also have the raging ambition of wanting to make money, wanting to get better, wanting to prove people wrong, wanting to provide for your family, and want the ability to walk away from people you don't like. Then this video will be a useful video to you. And no, I'm not going to teach you how to make money. I'm not going to teach you how to drop shit from AliExpress because if I know how to make money, I would have done it myself. I wouldn't be sitting here telling you this. I'm just here to share with the mindset that I have adapted, and I think it'll be useful for you and myself's current situation. So let's reflect a bit. Almost everyone I know has never thought about making money and getting rich, or at least talk about making a bunch of money, which is strange because I know everyone wants to make money, everyone wants to get rich, and I know I'm not crazy. But no one really had a serious conversation, like a sit-down conversation to talk about how. And I think the real reason behind this is because they don't want to be made fun of. They don't want to be called unrealistic. Oh, just work your job and enjoy your vacation, drink beer on the weekends, hang out on the weekends. They don't want to be the odd one out of their friend group. Which then begs the question, do people really just given up on themselves, or is it really impossible for the average person to get rich? Well, it's not impossible because many people have done it. It might be highly improbable for most people, but certainly not impossible. So it has to be that most people have just given up on themselves, correct? Let me just break down the 3 different logic of thinking that shapes people's perception of becoming wealthy. Because the third thinking logic, I think, is the best logic you can adapt if you want to calculate how likely it is for you to get rich. First, we must understand inductive and deductive reasoning. Let's start with deductive reasoning. A rich person has rich parents. Wealth is being passed down from generations. You don't have rich parents, therefore you'll never be rich. Deductive reasoning is drawing conclusions from general principles. In this case, the general principle is that in order to be rich, you must have rich parents. However, this isn't completely true because there are many rich people who got rich without rich parents. So let's start with inductive reasoning, which is forming conclusions based on patterns. Elon Musk worked hard. Steve Jobs worked hard. Rich people worked hard. Therefore, you need to work hard to be rich. That is inductive reasoning. So the conclusion here is that if you want to be rich, you must work hard. But we know that this isn't completely true because if working hard can make you rich, then construction workers, farmers, nurses, bodybuilders, they would all be rich. So then you might be asking, so is it impossible to get rich? That brings us to the third logic called Bayesian Thinking, which by definition is a framework for understanding and updating beliefs and making decisions in the face of uncertainty, which is basically how likely an event will occur based on your current knowledge and potential knowledge that you will gain in the future. In this case is how likely you're going to be rich. So let's use this concept to break things down. Let's say your definition of getting rich is $1 million. Now I know, $1 million isn't a lot this day and age, but $1 million is like enough for you to have a nice house, a nice car, and probably pay for your next 10 years of property tax. But we're using that as an example here because you have to make your first million before you can make your second mil. So let's say you're fresh out of college with student debt and interest, and you wanted to start a restaurant business, hoping it will make $1 million. Now, you don't know anything about the business, only the generics because your degree is a joke. Now you thought about all the problems along the way and had a general mind map of how you will go about solving them based on your current knowledge. From hiring staff, restaurant operations, suppliers, to licensing, purchasing, budget, health and safety, you then break them down into smaller steps and got to work, hiring people you know, making phone calls, asking for advice, getting a loan, research, then you calculate how long it'll take you to complete each step. Now, statistically speaking, you think your chance of success is 90%. Then you get to work. As you finish each step and learn something new, then you realize that your success rate is 60%, and you make the best possible choice based on what you know now. So instead of blindly believing that your chance of making $1 million is 90%, you update your belief based on statistical facts you gathered through experience and updating your knowledge. Calculating and updating possibilities as new information becomes available to make the best possible prediction. Now let me give you another example. What do you think the statistics are of you getting in shape, having a six-pack, and getting muscular arms? Now your answer will be different depending on what time of day it is. Sure, you might get a splurge of motivation at 2 a.m. in the morning lying in your bed and thinking that the odds are 100%. But you might think it's far less than that because you feel sluggish and exhausted during noon after you finish eating lunch. The point is, it doesn't matter because once you started going to the gym consistently for a month and not seeing results, you will then start to notice the mistakes you made. Maybe it was because you didn't train hard enough, or is that you didn't follow through with your diet. You will then figure out the problem, then decide whether or not you're going to fix it, and you calculate hypothetically how likely it is for you to achieve your goal. The point of Bayesian thinking isn't about having a prerequisite of what you can or can't do based on other people's common habits or previous set principles or unrealistic expectations because you believe you can do anything you put your mind into. Then get disappointed and blame yourself for feeling tired and taking a break instead of constantly grinding. It's about to work with what you got and what you know. Gather more information to gain hands-on experience. Shoot your shot in the dark. Then adjust your aim and update your understanding based on the feedback you receive. Well, then you might be asking, how do I apply this today? Well, here's a framework. So step 1, clearly define your goals. Example, I want to make $1 million, or I want a six-pack or get in shape. Step 2, estimate your current possibility. Even if it's just a guess, maybe it's 50%, 70%, 80%. Do some research and take into account everything you know now. Step 3, take action right away. Start that online business, that YouTube channel. Calculate how long it'll take and make time out of the day to focus on your business. Start doing push-ups, sit-ups, squats in your garage, and don't stop showing up. Step 4, self-reflect. As you review your performance in retrospect, you will get feedback on what you've done right and wrong. Update your probability. Then pivot your performance accordingly. Step 5, repeat until you've done it. Now you have a new set of revised plans of how to get a little better than yesterday. Repeat the process over until you gain maximum growth. Step 5 is the most important step because you cannot give up. You just have to keep going. Even the percentage are low. It's better than 0. You still have a chance. You cannot quit. Just keep going. So then if we apply this way of reasoning, then the difference between those who dream of getting rich and those who actually got rich is obvious. Those who daydream and predicting with limited information are like the frog on the bottom of the well who knows nothing about the sea, along with those who are egotistical and refuses to change to learn from their mistakes and refuses to take advice while repeating and doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. The others takes the opposite approach. They stop thinking, they take action, they start with uncertainty. They might not know how, but they're in it every day to figure it out. They're testing multiple theories and collecting new information to improve their odds. They enrich their knowledge every day, years down the line, before they can finally answer the question, how likely it is for them to get rich. Come to think of it, Bayesian thinking is probably the only reasoning theory that we can use to answer the ancient old philosophical question of why are we here? The answer is we don't know it yet, because we don't yet have enough information or evidence to answer that question, and we're still learning and exploring every day. Now, I hope this video provided some valuable insights and strategies on how you perceive possibility and statistics. Comment your thoughts down below, and I will see you in the next one.